Being recorded. If you go through Mindset of a Master on the Presidential Master site, directors are all about themselves. That's why they can't advance, because they're not thinking of other people. So if you're talking to somebody that is so self-centered, and in the beginning you're going to be self-centered because you want to get your volume and so on, but the quicker they're really thinking of other people, the better they're going to grow. I talked to a guy, I guess it was last year, saying he wanted to build, and then I said, well, set up some three-way calls, and he told me about this guy at work that he could probably talk to. He had an excruciating pain. He was taking a lot of medication for his pain, a lot of back problems, I believe. And I said, well, why don't you ask him if he asked him several questions and then ask him if he would like to talk? And he said, yeah, I'll wait for the right timing for it. And I said, Sam, how long are you going to let the guy suffer? Well, he never did contact the guy. And the guy was on $500 a month of medication. And most of it he had to pay for. How long are you going to let him suffer? And he never could find the perfect time to ask him the questions. That is somebody that is very self-centered. And of course, he and his wife never started to build anything in Shackley because it was all about them. The next level, of course, is the executive level. And that is the person who wants everybody to do the training program and do everything the same way. And everybody sing from the same hymnal. Everybody does the same thing. They can't go past executive because they want to control. They're controllers of their business. And so they can't go past that. The next level is the master coordinator thinking. And that's where, like Dr. Shackley said, and I heard him say it in person, you give up to gain. And that's where we must have the courage to tell somebody the next skincare you can do, the next in-home you can do. It's like the teenager is going to be driving the car for the first time on their own. And I tell you, you stay awake until they come home. There are guidelines. Tell me when you get there and tell me when you leave. But boy, I tell you, it's scary. But you got to do it. That's where you teach people leadership. And most people who are controllers never teach leadership. So it's all going back to the thinking again. And so we keep thinking, if I give them more activities, more things that they can look at and so on, that they're really going to grow. It's not going to happen. The other thing that I had a good discussion on the last Zoom just a few minutes ago, people had a hard time understanding strategy and planning. Planning is like a ball game. We plan to win the ball game, and so-and-so is going to play first base, so-and-so is going to play second, and we have the plan as to who's going to play where and so on, and who's going to pitch. We got the plan. Strategy is where you may have, maybe the first baseman hurts his foot and you have to put somebody else in. You got to change things, the spur of the moment. You have somebody coming into your group and they seem somewhat reasonable, and then you find out they're not reasonable. You got to change your plan. You find you're talking to somebody and you thought they had more confidence than they do. You got to change things. How are you going to help that person with their confidence? How are you going to help them deal with the real stuff instead of trying to give them another plan or try to get them excited? And most people don't have the confidence to really make a big goal. I said to the last Zoom, and I think we talked about it on this last one, and I would like to hear from all of you, but I said, I can't help you with strategy if you're not thinking past director level, which most everybody was. I said, listen to your questions. Your questions were about how you get the book out, how you pick the book up. Nothing was about building an organization, not one question. So I said, the next Zoom we have, I want to know what your organization is going to look like in 12 months. For those of you who are going to Las Vegas. Have fun and just ask people as you're talking to them, standing in line, how you doing and so on. And where do you see your business in 12 months? I would be surprised if you can find one person out of 100 that really knows where they're going to be in 12 months. Because the next question is, how are you going to do that? And when they stumble around on that one, you know they don't know. They say, well, I'm going to be, when they say, they don't know. But they say, I'm going to be an executive. Very good. How are you going to do that? Well, that's a giveaway right there. Well, that's another giveaway. I got to get some new people. New people. That's what I've got to do, is get new people. That's not very good strategy or planning. So you can have fun with that, because that helps you to understand better the importance of having a purpose and having a plan and some strategy as to what we can really talk about building an organization. So has anyone planned what your business is going to look like in 12 months so we can talk about it? I'd like to ask questions about it, and that would help everybody. Anybody done that? Yes, Pam.
You did it, Roland. Okay. Do you want me to just tell you what we came up with? Okay.
Yeah, please.
All right. Okay. We decided that we wanted to be key coordinators by July 31st of 2019, before the next convention, and be senior executives back to that level by March. Have 3 new first levels and 10 more on our recap. So and that involves some of the people we already have, and some we're just believing that it's going to happen for. So that's in brief.
So how many first levels will that give you?
That will give us 8.
8?
Yes.
By when?
By the end of July. We've already got 5.
You have 5
we
first
have 4 first. We have 4 first and 1 and 1 second.
Okay. All right, so you're developing 4 more first levels. Okay. And where do you plan on building the depth? Because we've got to find a place where somebody's going to be the example for the rest of the group.
Okay, we just looking at our current recap, we figure Heather and Steve will be involved there, developing 2, and Bonnie Hershey, at least 1 in Colorado Springs, Cheryl Seed, 1, and then we have 2 other people who are possibilities. They don't know that yet. We'll trust for that.
Okay.
That should add up to 10.
And what is Heather saying nowadays about Shackley?
She's on the call.
I know.
She's really excited. Yeah, I heard your call about your call today. And I believe and I know that she is more confident and ready to make the changes that she needs to make, like most of us are coming to. And she's got a very bright outlook.
So we've had a chance, Heather, to talk. Thank you, Pam. That's very good. We've had a chance to talk to some people in your group. Can you tell me where your thinking is on Shackley today?
So I didn't realize I was to be coming prepared with the speech.
That's all right. That's all right.
So, but I will just say we've made the commitment to put our littlest one in preschool, which in effect will give me a little bit of focused time throughout the week. to be able to work. And it's not something that is, I mean, anyway, it's a stretch for us right now to be able to do it with everything we have going on with, anyway, kids all the way up to 17. But anyway, it's kind of a faith jump and commitment to really work my business and grow it more. So I don't have prepared for you how many on my recap, but I would like to be making 3,000 by a year from now, which is a good couple thousand increase. So yeah.
Okay. And your son is 17, and I understand that he is as eager as anybody to build a business. He listens to the material, the things that are audible, and he's read the book. Is that true?
He's partway through it.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
But what I've heard, he's very, very eager to build. So based on his thinking, where do you think his business could be in a year?
He's a senior in high school, so where it could be, I don't know. I'm leery to say he would be at the point of being ready to be a director a year from now. Do I believe that could happen? Yes. I mean, but I'm just being honest. He's in school and, doing the high school thing and high school sports and all that right now. So, yeah.
Okay. See, here's the thing, and this is good to be going over this. I've got to make a decision as to where a person's business is going to be in a certain amount of time, based on where their thinking is, how coachable they are, things that they're doing. I'm a pretty good read as to where somebody's business could be. And so as an example, I have this in-home on Thursday, and I'm certain they will have 10 people. But I am setting the goal based on talking to these people and how coachable they are and where their thinking is. I'm believing that in 2 months, they can go out as directors with 3,500 volume. So I set the goal. I have not talked to them about it. They don't understand volume. They're so relatively new into Shackley. They love the products. The husband and wife, this is another key. The husband and wife are both working at Shackley. And so that's another good support. So I'm trying to put all the pluses together, and I make the decision as to what their volume is going to be. Then it's on me to do everything I can to make that happen. So to make that happen, even though they live 3 hours away, I know that I must get an in-home set up under them within 2 weeks to make that happen. And then I don't know, I am hoping that they will feel confident to go out there and do some small meetings or something. I've asked them to get the DVD so they can see how an in-home is done. I've asked them to join PMB mentors so they learn communication skills and to get the writing skills, which they've done. But my goal is to make that happen. Maybe I have to give 3 meetings, one Thursday, 2 weeks later. And if I can get, and of course they're going to be downline, and I'm going to do the best job ever, because yes, I want to go there and do meetings, but I want to, I don't want to keep making trips to do it. But I set the goal, 3,500, they break out with 3,500. Why is that important? Because they have tried different things that have not panned out very well in sales. And they live in a small community. They've got to get the proof very fast. Otherwise, people are going to think, well, they're just into something else. So that's part of the strategy.
Mm-hmm.
I have a plan that they're going to break out as directors in 2 months. But the strategy is they got to break out with high volume so they have a nice big check. And it's my job to make that happen if I want to keep them moving right on up to executive. They don't even know what executive is, really. And it's not right to say to somebody, when do you want to be a director? You decide. They don't know. Should never ask people when they want to be a director. And because you make the decision on that. So anyway, that's part of the strategy. But what I've heard about your son, I feel that in a year from now, he can definitely be a senior director. And I'm generally not wrong on that because I feel he's very coachable. What little information you've given me. And if he wanted to get some coaching from me, which would probably go further than from his parent, we could save a lot of time.
Right.
And because you told me that he talked to somebody who's older, who's very successful in other businesses, but wants to get into network marketing, if he has the nerve to do that, then that tells me he's not afraid to be an entrepreneur.
No.
And so I think senior director would be the minimal.
Okay.
So then what we do, we start figuring out, how can we make that happen? Well, we definitely don't want to talk to him about just becoming a director.
Mm-hmm.
And I will find out more, because if he comes to the meeting on the 25th that I have in the Atlanta area,
Mm-hmm.
I will be able to figure out better where he can be in a year from now. And so if we're all on the same page with that, then just based on our expectations, we'll be that much further ahead if we're all on the same page.
Got it.
So then you can start planning from there. Okay, he's a director and a senior director, and a year from now, so there's 2 new directors.
Mm-hmm.
And based on the in-homes that you plan on doing, if you plan on doing in-homes, you can raise your income $2,000 very easily. That is way too minimal. It really is. It's way too minimal, because if you're trying to build under other people, and this is where it's good to plan for the year, but if you're building under people, you're going to be doing some incomes where perhaps people will never become directors. But they've got a group of people, and you've got an extra $500 or $800 volume from that group that you wouldn't have had if you had not started doing some of those in-homes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you add those up, and that's where people do the 10,000 volume. And this is the other thing for all of you. If we start doing these in-homes, if you would sit down with a piece of paper and start figuring out, if we're getting the average, we should be looking at 8,000 and 9,000 volume, 10,000 volume a month. It's just inevitable it's going to happen, because you're going to have a few people, like Pam, you were talking about, 4 people moving on up to director, let's say, or we have 3 of them moving up to director, first level to you. In the process of them moving up, there's going to be an extra 4,000 or 5,000 volume that's going to be in your personal group. So as we're building people, our volume's going to go up.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that. Anybody else? Gary. You're muted. I don't know if you're saying anything. Anybody else have any comments? Yes, go ahead, Gary.
Roland, good. Nita and I sat down and thought about this quite a bit the last couple of days. We decided that within a year we'll be key coordinator. We're going to have 5 first levels. We have 2 now, 1 pending. So we have to find a couple more. 8 second levels and 2 third levels.
Okay, so
now we need to start doing in-homes.
Okay.
But the excitement came from when I was thinking about the fact that we want to work down and help 2 of those new directors qualify for the dream trip.
Mm-hmm.
We thought about volume, but also we want to help them qualify.
Very good. So what do you think is going to be the best time-saving thing as you're working with them to help them to become or qualify for the trip? Coordinator.
Well, the quickest way is to do a number of in-homes
Right.
in their group to build volume quickly.
Okay.
It also builds believability.
Correct.
Okay. How about if they're focused on getting 2 other couples going on the trip with them?
Yes.
That will help them to get there quicker because we've raised their focus.
Correct.
It's not on them, it's on someone else.
Exactly. We've got to get people off focusing on things for themselves totally. That is very, very, very big in terms of getting them to focus on bringing other people. And so the other thing is your job will be helping them with that picture. That's going to save you hours and months of time. So in other words, we'll find out in August where the location is. And then you find out the restaurants in that location. And then you say, at a particular day, we're going to go to this restaurant with you and your 2 other people. Here's a personal and you send them a personal invitation, handwritten, that they put on their refrigerator. Periodically, you send pictures of people at that resort, and if you can do this on your computer, you could superimpose their face on somebody's body sitting there at the beach. When they have somebody in their group, they say, yeah, this person, they're going to go on the trip with us. They're going to start talking to those people. It's going to be so great. We're going to be able to do this together and this together, and we're going to go on this excursion together. Then you can get that picture's headshot and put it on and send it to them. I mean, these are the things that are so vitally important because what we're doing in this business is helping people to raise their thinking. It's not their activity level. The activity will follow. Is to raise their thinking. It's the same thing that we do with somebody who's taking the supplements or they're looking at taking the supplements by asking the question, how healthy do you want to be? You're looking just to get rid of the headache, or do you really want to be very healthy? And so we've raised their thinking. It's all about helping with the thinking. That's what we must understand that makes this business work so much better. And it will save you so much time because as their thinking moves up, so does their business. And so we must be careful about telling them, this is the activity you should be doing. You should be doing more in-homes. You should be doing more skin cares. No, the skin cares and the activity will happen if we raise their thinking. And they'll go out and do it. It'll save you time. Otherwise, you'll be putting a lot of physical time into their business. So that is my goal when I do the meeting on Thursday, especially afterwards. I'm picturing talking to the husband and wife right afterwards and saying to them, do you understand that I believe so-and-so could go on this next trip with you? I'm going to start planting the picture. And we know how to do this because we've done it with children. The little kid sees the bus go by, or we go by the school. As we drive by, say, next year you're going to be in that school. We prepare them for it. And if we didn't prepare them, then they're going to squeal and whine that first day of school like you would not believe. I had a real situation a number of years ago. Some people qualified for a trip to Europe. and they didn't even know they qualified. I didn't even know they qualified. They were the most unhappy people in all of Europe. The streets were too narrow. The people did not talk English. They had a terrible time because they had not prepared for success. And I'll never forget, the day that they were to leave, I believe they were supposed to leave the hotel to go to the airport, probably around 9 o'clock. At 3 o'clock in the morning, they were all packed, sitting on the edge of the bed, could not wait until the transportation came to take them to the airport. They were so unhappy. So we must be understanding we're in the business of preparing people for success. That's what we must do. Prepare people for success because it changes their thinking. And of course, in the process, I want to be changing my thinking. And so what am I doing to prepare for success? Well, figuring out where my business is going to be a year from now and telling everybody and putting pictures on the refrigerator so that when we make executive, we've already told everybody we're going to take a free trip. We're going to take a trip to Europe. Not a free trip. We're going to take a trip to Europe as a reward for ourselves. Or we're going to go skiing or someplace or something. You must put in there a picture of what you're going to do to prepare for that success that you've made. So that's preparing yourself. I mean, we must all do that. Steve or Linda, what are you thinking?
You know, boy, a lot of things. When you started out this Zoom, I saw myself as the director working on my PV. And even though I was trying in my mind to help other people, it was, I've got to become a director. I've got to get the PV. We've got to get the PV. I saw that. And then the management piece of, okay, now that I'm a director, I'm going to march this band all the same way. So I was really laughing about that. And the learning process, I hate to admit how slow I've been at the learning process, but I am learning. And what you were just talking about, I related back to, we've done a lot of weight loss counseling and coaching, and Linda's just so good at this. It's incredible. But if you don't prepare the people for success in weight loss, they'll never get there. Absolutely never get there. And so what's the difference between the weight loss or whatever you are good at with the nutrition side of Shackley and the business side? And it's the confidence that you have, and knowing that you are good at preparing people for the success, not dragging them, not pushing them, but preparing them. And we're getting there. And I see it every day. And being okay with understanding that some people just aren't ready now. And so that's kind of where I'm at.
Boy, that is such a good comparison, starting a weight loss class and basically letting people know the chance of success is not that great. And we don't realize how we say that to people. I hope you can become a director by fall. I hope this thing will work for you. Yep. We don't prepare them. You know, there was a study in California where the experts told this new teacher that we have found in this study that kids with blue eyes are your best students. They're the best. Boy, they learn well, they listen well, they're just good kids. They're just great kids. And sure enough, by midway through the year, they were the best kids. They were fantastic kids. They did well. They studied hard. Man, they're just great kids. And then these same experts came in and said, oh my gosh, we made a mistake. It's the brown-eyed kids are the best kids. The blue-eyed, they're troublemakers. By the end of the school year, everything had reversed. Now that school system had a lawsuit against them for it, but it came out to be an incredible, great study. The expectations that we have for other people, instead of telling them what to do, dreaming with them together. Together we're dreaming. So valuable. So valuable. Well, I can remember doing a meeting in Minneapolis, and we had these lapel pins that had 2 diamonds and a ruby in for key coordinator. When you were a master, you had 3 diamonds. And I'll never, ever forget a master coordinator at that time walked past me, kind of flipped the pin and said, when are you going to get the red out of it? Boy, I tell you, you talk about motivation. Because it also said he had the confidence, he had the belief in me. In other words, it's no big deal, get the red out. And we do not compliment and dream with people well enough. We want to give instructions. Other comments on this? Because this is real stuff, because I really want to put strategy into building large organizations. Do you realize that you're such a small percentage, and I'm talking very, very small percentage of people in Shackley that begin to understand what we're talking about on these Zooms? First of all, most of them are not even thinking about doing in-home presentations. It's all via the internet and one-on-one. And now Richard says, get the book out. So a lot of them are trying to get the book out, and they're not even thinking past that because they don't have a big goal and they don't know what to do next. And they're all talking about, okay, how do you get the book out? What are you doing to get the book out? And I asked one lady today, or the other day, I said, so if you have somebody who has an interest in building in Shackley, what do you do? It's just, I don't want to do anything because I'm scared. The fear keeps us from doing things, and I think the fear keeps a lot of people from being successful getting the book out. Now, I'll be very upfront with you. I'm not a big one to get the book out, but I'll get it out at in-homes. 10 people on Thursday, I'll be getting more books out than most people. And I think the opportunity is going to be greater for great success because they've heard a presentation where there's a lot of passion and feeling. So many people in Shackley are looking for the script. They're looking for exactly how do you do this and this and this. They can't even think on their own 2 feet because they don't have a goal. They don't know where they're going to be in Shackley. So they're looking for the process. And I want to change all that. And therefore, I can't help change that unless people have a real clear focus as to where they're going to be in 12 months, where they're going to be in 2 years. I can't help you.
You know, Roland, you talk about getting the book out and having a clear focus. For me personally, the problem wasn't getting the book out. It was not having the clear focus on how to get the book back. So I get 25 books out, and Linda's going, where are all these people? Where's all these books? And I'm going, well, I guess I need to figure this out. And so our process has gotten much different. Instead of leading with a book, the book now for us is about the 3rd step. I had a meeting with a gal a couple weeks ago. We talked. I gave her the website, and she went and looked at that and said, "Yeah, I want more information. Let's get together and talk." We met and talked. I did the 8-minute sales plan, and then I said to her, "Would you be interested in looking at this book that explains our industry a little better. Absolutely. I can get it back to you in 2 or 3 days. Rather than people taking it and going, okay, I'll get to it. And then a month later, they haven't gotten around to it. So it's figuring this out with a plan into the future. It's the vision, not at the moment, but down the road. So that's how it's affecting me.
Very good. Knowing where we're going, then we can put a plan to it. My thing is, I want to get in-home set up. That, to me, is going to be the fastest way to grow. That's my focus. So I had a number of people's names who haven't purchased Shackley in a couple of years in the Nashville area. And so I started calling these people. And of course, most people don't answer the phone, but I introduced myself. I'm with Shackley. And I have a question for you. Would you please call me back? And I leave my number. That's all I'm doing. And so I got a call back from 2 people who haven't used Shackley in quite a while. I was surprised. One was a real estate person. Real estate people will call you back. But she's a real estate person. And we got chit-chatting, and I've known her from before. And she says she's up in Canada because she's now taking care of her handicapped daughter that lives up there. But she said she's gone through some health issues, but she's going to be coming back in about a month to Nashville area, and asked me, how's Shackley going? And I could tell by her voice tone she was really interested. But I did not want to go with the book. Like Richard said, you got to feel comfortable that it's the right time. And this you can only learn from experience. And she kept asking questions, and I told her about the market and where we're going. Everybody's sick. And yeah. So she said, well, when I come back, we're going to have to get together. And I said, oh, that'd be fantastic. Yeah, I'd really love to do that. I didn't want to go with the book. Plus, she's in Canada. Didn't want to send it to Canada. But then another person called me back in real estate, called me back in about 5 minutes. And she said, I listened to that message you sent a couple times. And I said, well, good for you. She said, and you said Osterhaus. I said, yeah. She said, well, I know Carter Osterhaus. I said, you do? How do you know him? And she said, well, my kids know him very well, and that's how I know him. And I said, really? What do your kids do? Well, they're musicians or something, I guess. And I said, that's fantastic. Yeah. She said, so when I saw the name, I thought, wow, I wonder if you know him. And I said, yeah, I do. He's my son. She said, no. I said, yeah, it is. Oh, my goodness. So we chit-chatted a little bit, and I said, well, I'm just checking to see if you want any free products. She said, well, I haven't used Shackley in years, but I know it's good. And she said, how does that work? I said, well, you can get either $225 worth of products, or you can get $300 at retail value. I said, you get 6 people in your home, it's $225. 10 people, $300. And she says, well, thanks for offering that to me. But she said, I am so busy with my company. I thought, wow, there's a market there. So I'm so busy with my company. And she says, I've written a book. And so I've got a lot of book signing to do, a children's book. I said, good for you. But she said, I'd love to talk with you, and I'd love to get a catalog and start using Shackley. I said, well, good for you. So my thinking is, because I'm looking at really expanding the business, I'm going to bring along the writing skills. So she starts thinking, wouldn't a Shackley kit for cleaning products be a great gift that everybody gives to somebody when they sell a house? That's strategy. Planning where we go from here. So we set up a luncheon that we're going to have on Saturday. Says, I really want to talk with you. She said, you could send me a catalog, but she said, I'd just like to talk with you more. Very confident person. And so, I don't know, if I get some in-home set up from this, I'll get the book out. You may say that's a chicken way to do it. That's okay. That's my way of doing it. You got to find what works for you. All I know is I have some big goals, and I've got to figure out how to make them happen. And therefore, I figure out what is this person going to do based on where their thinking is right now, and I want to know if I can advance their thinking. Maybe I can't. But I believe, Heather, I can advance your son's thinking. I believe I can do that. Maybe I can't, but I believe I can. Who else?
Roland, with what you just shared there, I think that's it's making it more about the person instead of it all about us. We got to get books out. We got to get this. We got to do that. But it's making it all about that person instead.
Mm-hmm.
So, and after an in-home, then they've heard about Shackley. That's the more likely place to, that's where I feel comfortable again as well. I sent a bunch of books out in the beginning and I got from it.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely like the other way much better.
Yeah. It's going to work for me. That's what I feel comfortable doing. I feel the book is a great asset, but I'm going to put it in at a different timing, because what Richard is really doing is relating what should be done if you're working in a company that doesn't have good products. I mean, you got to deal with the business big time. But when you understand that in Shackley, probably 90% of the people that are business builders in Shackley came in because of the product. What an advantage we have. So, you know, I'm not the best for introducing Shackley to somebody unless they have a need or whatever. And well, some people are good at introducing the business and right away. And I don't mind introducing the products and getting it in home and creating a loss situation for somebody if they don't take an active part. That's pretty simple. Linda, what are you thinking?
Hi. I'm working. I like what you're saying, and Steve, that's great. I love your analogy about the weight loss because that's spot on. And I'm tossing around in my head while we're doing this Zoom call the different people that I'm working with, and I don't know how it happened, but I've got 3 doctors right now that I'm dealing with, and that's kind of an interesting. Doctors are kind of a trip. We saw one on Saturday. She's a veterinarian, and it was our, 3rd meeting with her, I think, Steve? And so I was very interested in discussing with her the cleaning products and how to approach that with her. I managed to get my hands on a book that was the book that was delivered to the White House with the Get Clean manual. I don't know if any of you guys have seen that, but it's really awesome. And then the back of it, it's got the science, the data, and a little bit of our history and all of that. So I took that. I figured that was my strategy to discuss with her, because she didn't really want to hear a lot of fluff and pretty and all that. And she didn't want to look at anything. She wanted from me the gist of it, the bottom line. What's this stuff all about? And then she was interested only in the germicide. So discussed that with her. I happen to have a brochure with me. So we gave her that, and I'm pretty confident that she's going to start there. But down the road with her, I see a financial need, and that's going to be kind of an interesting dance to get to that conversation with her. But she's on my dance card. We're getting a puppy from her, so we're connected. And I will be seeing her again. And then the other doctor that I saw was an optometrist. And she is very into retail. There's a company that she uses, PRN, which is Physicians Recommended Nutraceuticals. And when talking about eye health, some eye products. And so she was really pushing that on me. She gave me a little sample and a booklet and the price sheet. And our Omega Guard, I happen to have, what did I take with me? Oh, I took something on Vivix. And I didn't even think of the Omega Guard. So I gave her what I had on the Vivix. But when I got home, I'm looking at the stuff that I have now to send to her. Ours is, well, of course it's better. And her product is 2.5 times more expensive. And I don't think these people, they don't get the kind of payment or like a bonus. I think all these guys get is differential when they use these doctors, when they use these companies. I'm not sure, but that's just kind of when I worked for a chiropractor. That's how that was. We never got a check from the companies we bought from. So, and she's into money. So there's a connection there. I'm going to meet with her a lunch date in the near future because I need to get her out of her office to talk to her. And the other doctor is the dentist that is that I'm working with on a long-term thing. He bought a couple of products and hasn't moved forward from there. But I'm feeling a lot more confident talking to him about the financial aspect of it, just moving right past the products and getting right into the money stuff. And I think he's open for that. He's doing some promo stuff on Facebook. Once a week or a couple of times a week, he sends out a little blurb on holistic dentistry and what it's good for. So that's been where I've been focusing on. I ran into a lady yesterday at Kohl's, the checker, and I was branded when I went there, and she goes, do you work with Shackley or is that just a shirt? And I said, oh no, I do Shackley. And she goes, oh wow, I thought they left the planet. And I said, no, we just moved to the top of it. And she goes, oh, I love Shackley. So we chit-chatted a bit. She used to be in Shackley and got out of it, got divorced, and now she does Young Living. And I gave her my sympathy, and we chatted some more. And I asked her if she would like my business card, and she whispered at me. She goes, oh, I'm so glad you offered. I wanted to ask you, but I'm at work. I can't. So she lives nearby, so we're going to do coffee. And I'm sure she's going to get involved. No question at all. That store was a mess. And then there was a lady standing in line listening to that from India, and she's on the phone while we're talking. These people are falling out of the sky to a nutritionist that she needs to gain weight. I really know how to do that. And I didn't say that to her, but so she asked what was going on? What are you guys talking about? So I told her, and she wanted a card too. So I gave her a card, and we'll see what happens with that. But people are just they're showing up in very interesting places. A lady at Starbucks that works there, well, you guys are finding out where I hang out. The checker at Starbucks, I pulled up to the window, and she goes, what do you do? Because what does my license plate say, Steve? Has something about a coach.
It says leadership.
It says leadership. And she asked what that was about. And I told her I was a coach. And she asked, what do you coach? And I had a really good line. It was something about finance, and anyway, she said, "Do you ever speak at the Masonic Temple or whatever it was?" And I said, "Well, I haven't, but I do public speaking and I would love to." So she asked for a business card too, was going to pass it on to her dad. So they're popping up.
It sounds like they're certainly popping up. You
Popping
know,
up.
there's just, we must really expand our thinking and be thinking about what we can really do to have our business grow very well. If I were a director and I'm looking to really start building, what I would do is go through the list of names of all the people that I have as customers and offer them the opportunity to do an in-home. I believe we could be doing 3 in-homes a week. Do you realize how people who are doing 3,000 volume could triple their volume and be up to 10,000 by the second month? 3 a week. I mean, you'd be way past that. Plus, you would now have a number of people who say they want to build. A director, by doing that, could be on their way to building 10 directors in 12 months because you'd get a group. Even if you did 2 a week, for 2 months, 2 a week, in homes, in your group, you would have enough people responding and saying they want to become directors, and you would have enough base to continue from there. And it'd be that simple. We must be doing in-homes. Can't wait for them to happen. Any last comments from anybody?
Roland, this
Yes.
is Mary Riley. And as you know, I'm in the beginning stages of Shackley business. But I do have a goal. My goal is to be a director no later than this time next year. And or sooner the better, even sooner than then, that would be good for me. But I have an advantage. I think Marilyn is my upline, and she's a great mentor and coach to me. So I appreciate that. I can call her anytime. She calls me. If I get excited about an experience, I'll tell her, you know, she's got good advice. I appreciate that. I really do. Be able to have somebody like that above me to help me get started with this. But I recently had an event at my house. There were 6 ladies there, and I did earn my $225 in retail products. So that was great. I love it. And one of the ladies that was there, she's a family member of mine, and her order came in too. So I thought, you know, I'm going to pack up everything that I got in the Shackley bag and take it to her house. I wanted to see everything I earned from that, because I'm really hoping that she'll have a skincare or an event at her house. I know that she, you know, she has some people in her life that, you know, could either be, you know, and as far as I'm concerned, and the exciting thing that's going on with me is that I'm meeting a lot of new people. I'm making a lot of new friends. And so, you know, my thinking and my mission is that when I look at them, I want to think, you know, they could either have an in-home, they can have an event, they can have a skincare, they could be, maybe they would be a prospect for the business, or maybe they would just purchase the product, you know, and that's the way I see everybody. And then I'm still doing follow-ups with those that were there, and I actually started walking with one of the ladies who had a skincare at my home, and since then she's bought some more product too as well. But, you know, when we walk, she knows a lot of people, and she's invited me to a Thursday night, one Thursday night, I think it's the last Thursday of the month, to meet with other professional women in the community and then other women who are not. But, you know, and I'm thinking that's a great opportunity to get to know more people. And then also, I've already have 1 year underneath my belt at the school system, so I'm starting pretty soon to go back to school. I'm a helper with the special ed teacher. And when I look at her, you know, we exchange gifts. And so I think some of her gifts are going to be products from Shackley. So I wanted to try those. You know, just little small investments that I want to make, you know, to introduce Shackley, you know, because I believe when they try those products, they're just going to love them. And so, and then another lady, I was at her house and I had a couple of my grandkids there, and she remarked about how beautiful their hair was. She couldn't get over how pretty their hair was. And I said, well, that's because they use Shackley. I said, their mother is she's a beautician, hairdresser, and that's all she's ever used on their hair. And so I'm going to meet with her to have lunch, and I think I might purchase a bottle of shampoo for her to try. You know, these are just some of the things that I'm doing. They're small investments, but I believe, you know, that could be, you know, a good outcome with that, be profitable in the end. So, you know, that's what I'm doing right now. And, you know, I just want to learn the business. I want to know as much as I can about the business, the history, end of it, the product. and, learn how to communicate with people, and qualify people and all those things. So I'm all ears, and I really enjoy these Tuesday nights that, we have, and I'm listening to other people and I'm picking up things from them. So that's where I'm at right now, and I'm going to work hard to get there. So I'm just going to work hard to try to make that happen, or make it happen. Let's put it that way.
That is fantastic. And based on what you're telling me and what you're doing, because it sounds like you are really looking for opportunities, based on what you're doing, how would you feel a year from now you have 2 first-level directors?
I would love that. That's what I'm looking for.
Okay.
I'm not looking to drag my feet. I'm not that way. I don't like to drag my feet on anything. I just like to do it and get it done. I just don't like to wait in between. I just want to, be able to have these events and have as many as I can and keep working towards that. I'm talking with a friend right now. We meet for lunch, once every 4 or 5 weeks, and now she's already ordered product from me, and she is going to have an in-home for me in September, but I got to do something in between now and September. I don't want to wait for that. I just want to keep moving forward and I'm always looking for opportunity to introduce Shackley and this, because I think everybody, everybody I know deserves to know how they can have a better life.
Oh, something happened. Well, there is somebody who has the right attitude, and making coordinator in a year from now would be very minimal. With that attitude, that's fantastic. That's very good. Okay, so we'll be on again next week and see a number of you in Las Vegas. And I appreciate you talking about where your business is going to be a year from now, because we can really start planning some good stuff, save you a lot of time. So thank you for being on. We'll talk next week.
Thanks, Roland.
I got lost. I'm sorry.
Well, thank you for that. Because as I just
accidentally
told
touched the phone.
everybody, with the attitude that you have and what you're saying, making coordinator, which would be 2 first levels a year from now, would be very, very minimal for you. So no doubt about it. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Okay. Very good. Thanks for being on. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.